Welcome to Missouri Outback. Today we're fishing a strip pit here at the Wilderness Lodge with fish biologist Jeff Finley and his assistant Jerid Wilkinson. Jeff works for the Missouri Department of Conservation and travels all over the state with a giant fish tank on wheels, teaching people of all ages about fish and fishing. Believe me, this guy knows a lot about fish. Jeff, what's the name of your fish tank?
Well, when we first got the tank, it was called the Bass Bin, and we wanted to find a name that would cover a few more than just the bass out there. So we named it Show-Me Missouri Fish Mobile Aquarium. Not only do we use the mobile aquarium for educational opportunities for the youngsters, but also just for the general public to get an opportunity to view some of our unusual fish and even our common sport fish. It's a real good opportunity for us to identify different types of species and show you guys some tips and techniques and get a unique vantage point at how we operate these lures within the tank. Those big silvery colored fish here, it's a cross between a white bass and a striper. Very good lure for those fish. When Jerid's going for these big fish, which can get up to 20 pounds and even bigger than that, he fishes one of these spinners right here. He tows that rascal behind the boat.
We're getting in some real shallow water, so you may have to keep your lure pretty high to keep out of the moss. But this is pretty good topwater arm of the pit in the summertime on the summer pattern.
You bet.
They lay down these moss beds.
A lot of vegetation's good. I mean, too much is a bad thing, but so many people nowadays want to stock grass carp into their ponds to remove all the vegetation. Well, the problem is, if you remove all the vegetation, then you got a problem. You lose recruitment of fish. The little fish can't hide anywhere and the predators crop them off. Vegetation's good. Now, too much of it's a bad thing, but you need just the right amount. If you've got a sight feeding fish like a bass and you've got a full moon out there, well, he's going to be able to feed a little bit more all night long. So your daytime fishing is probably going to be a little less productive. When I get ready to go fishing, do I check the charts and stuff? No. I go whenever I get the chance. If you get an amateur override.
Professional overrun. The white cat and the blue cat. Now, is that the same fish or not?
There is a white catfish, but white catfish isn't very common in Missouri, and it's a smaller catfish. It doesn't get much bigger than a channel. In fact, channels will get bigger than a white cat. In muddy water, like Truman Lake, it's muddy. Fish get suntans just like we do. Clear water, they'll get dark. And particularly with the older fish, the older they get, and if they're in muddy water, they'll be nearly white in color.
This is kind of a little bass color, Model A. It's not the shallowest runner, but it's probably the 6 to 9 foot deep, but I'm retrieving it pretty slow, so I'm trying to keep it a little shallower because that's where the bass have been the last few days.
Yeah, they've got a very highly developed sense of smell. They can smell extremely well, and that's probably the main thing that the fish can tune into is the smell of another fish. Actually, the minnow family secrete a substance, a fright substance they call it. Scientists call it Schreckstoff.
Get all the little ones caught and get them out of the way, we'll catch the bigger ones.
Well, you know, there's a lot of truth to that. You know, the catch and release promotion is caught on so well in so many areas in Missouri, particularly farm ponds. The fish are really getting overpopulated. And so there's a lot of small fish. The number one complaint we have from pond owners is small bass. Lots of them. I call them little bananas because they don't get much bigger than a banana. Too many of them in there, and they're competing for the same food resources.
Little banana bass. A lot of them in here this size. Now, when you put the fish in the aquarium, do the crappie school together in the aquarium?
They'll tend to hold to certain habitats. We've got, you know, a lot of rocks and logs and plants and things like that in there, and they'll hold pretty tight to that. There's one of those logs on the bottom in particular kind of comes up and arches, and they tend to want to hang out underneath it. The black crappie tend to do better in the clear water.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, tend to grow better.
Check this and see what it is.
That is a black crappie. It's real easy, I like to show people in the mobile aquarium, because you know, the white crappie, their spots are oriented into vertical rows. So I tell people white have stripes. Now on the black crappie, like this one, the spots are evenly scattered out, a lot like a guinea feather.
Oh, Jerid's got one on. Nice fish. I want Jeff to look at it and tell us if it's a black or a Kentucky.
And now this is a largemouth. Notice the back edge of his mouth comes beyond his eye. With the Kentucky bass or the spotted bass, back edge of that mouth comes just even with his eye. Go ahead, I got him. So if you close his mouth, you can see that the back edge of that lip comes beyond his eye. Now a lot of tournament anglers will check the tooth patch. In their mouth, you'll feel for a tooth patch. Now this guy actually has a little bit of a tooth patch in there. That's only about 80% accurate. So a lot of times you will get a largemouth with a tooth patch, and the Kentuckys will most always have it.
What about the color of the eye? I've heard that discussed a lot of times.
The color of the eye can be a little bit brighter red. Once again, that's not always a real effective means for identifying them. The mouth is the best way to do it. Good job, Jerid.
That acts like a nice fish. Be a nice one if it was a trout.
Well, ain't nothing like fishing. I mean, it's such a wholesome activity.
Yes, it is.
That's one of the big things I encourage people to do, is to take their kids out fishing, you know. Watch a kid's face light up when he catches a fish. Well, kid, look at that kid. Look at his face light up when he caught that fish. Them fish don't care. They don't care how old you are. They don't care if you're a man or woman or boy or girl. They don't care what color your skin is. They'll still fight for you. If you get them hooked on fishing when they're the age of Pixie, when they get to 13, 14, 15 years old, perhaps they'll choose to be out on the lake instead of out on the streets. You've been a great audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.